look the part, but let's see some of your moves.
Feeling free and it feels so right. Oh, time to do the things I like. Gonna see a princess, everything's alright. Oh, no job but an answer to. Ain't a fixture in the palace zoo. No, and since the carbonites off me, I'm living life now that I'm free. Yeah, told me get myself together. Now I got myself together. Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy. The carbonite is gone. I'm moving on. I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. I'm putting on my shades to cover up my eyes. I'm jumping in my ride. I'm heading out tonight. I'm solo. I'm hot solo. I'm hot solo. I'm hot solo. Solo. Picking up my blaster, put it on my side. I'm jumping in my Falcon, put me at my side. I'm solo. I'm hot solo. I'm hot solo. I'm hot solo. Solo.
Okay, I can see you have some skills, but now it's my turn.
Every single time makes me smile. even if Mike's not here to join us tonight and be with us, I just want the universe to know that I appreciate the work that he put into that intro.
Absolutely. Every time it gets me.
And every time I always like, oh, what if we put this picture in there or that other little thing? It's just so fun. So we got another Wednesday, and I gotta say, please, I hope you don't take this as an insult by any stretch. I kind of miss having Mike. I miss having the three of us together on these flights.
Yeah, hopefully here in the next few weeks we get him back on our regularly scheduled program.
Yeah, it's like he's been abducted by some band of bounty hunters or something like that.
Right.
So this is Ken, one of the trio that tends to hang out on this fancy ship.
This is John.
And so this is going to be I don't know how long we'll go. We'll see what kind of magic happens. Normally we have these little segments that we talk through, whether it's troop time where we talk about the events that we've experienced recently in our costumes, or we spend time talking about the actual costumes that we're making. And this week we don't really have either of those to talk through. I've been really slacking on trooping lately, and I've spent probably a handful of hours putting stuff together, either on that little pit droid that I'm working on, or one of the many other costumes that are, at various stages, but nothing of substance to talk about. So instead of that, I wanted to plant the seeds for talking about things that showed up in the movies that we love for all of these many years that weren't fully flushed out or weren't fully explored, that we think could make for some interesting conversation. And one example of that is if we start not the first movie in release history, but the first movie in the whole Skywalker saga, The Phantom Menace. Whatever happened to Anakin's friends? What happened with his little Rhodian friend Wald? What happened with Kitster? I mean, what kind of things do you think occurred after Anakin was whisked away to the Jedi Temple?
Part of me wants to think that they all had a happy ending and they had a bit of a slave uprising on Tatooine and broke away from Watto. But I also kind of picture them, like, after they saw Anakin do really well in the pod racing, they kind of became their own little pit crew for one of them to do some pod racing as well.
Oh, so who would be the driver? Who would be the pit crew?
I mean, I think you'd have to go with Kitzer would probably be the pilot, and the rest of them would be his pit crew.
Yeah, that would be kind of fun. And I do know that I think it was somewhat recently that they had a Star Wars comic that showed Anakin as Vader, meeting up with Walden and Kitster as adults, but nothing, in that early space, when Anakin went to went to Coruscant.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of the things that we're going to talk about, I guarantee you there is probably some comic offshoot story or something or other that just puts us in our place and tells us we're wrong.
Yeah, and there's probably one or two listeners like, yeah, didn't you read such and such article in Star Wars Insider, or this 3-story arc in the comics?
Hmm.
What are what would be another example that came from the Phantom Menace that you kind of wonder what happened?
Who was Padme's captain? The
Panaka?
Yeah. Do we ever know what happened to him? Because he wasn't in Attack of the Clones.
No, it was a different person, wasn't it?
Right.
I don't know what happened, and I don't know if that was like a um, yeah. I'm not even sure.
I wonder if he saw a Sith Lord and he's like, nah, I'm gonna take my early retirement and go sit on the sands of Naboo and
Do some fishing in the
yeah,
lake country.
you're right.
Well, even just what about the Gungans in general? I mean, in Phantom Menace, there wasn't a strong relationship between the Gungans and the Nabooians. So after the Phantom Menace, did they build a stronger alliance? Did they spend more time with each other now that they kind of supported each other and battled for each other?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot from the Phantom Menace that it's like, I wonder what happened there, and you know because the public backlash from Jar Jar and the Gungans, they kind of glossed over all that. I mean, you see Boss Nass at Padme's funeral in um, Revenge of the Sith, so there is some relationship between the people of Naboo and the Gungans there.
Yeah, because if they had just gone back to the way that it was before that, you probably wouldn't have seen that level of diplomacy or that willingness to be present at such a state ceremony kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, and what about the handmaidens? Like Padme's handmaidens? I guarantee you that's probably in the Queen of Shadows book.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff in the books, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in the comics. So that group of females were flushed out pretty extensively in the other materials. Some of it even more recently. So it's still being worked on.
Mm,
And I'm pretty sure that each of the handmaidens like had a name, and there was a whole lot involved with that. In fact, I just um, I was just listening to the Afra book, and in the Afra, well, the audio book, they were mentioning one of the handmaidens in that.
mm. I need
So
to go back and listen to that one. Because about 2 years ago, I think I got about 90% done with it and never finished it.
yeah, and I'm surprised at how many I've so in the last couple of months I've listened to 3 audiobooks, which for a long time I wasn't interested in them,
Hmm.
but now that I spend over an hour each way driving to work, I'm like, why not? Like, I can
Yeah.
I can I can have somebody read to me. So I've listened to I'm almost done with Afra. I listened to Rise of the Red Blade, and I listened to Crimson Ride, no, Crimson Climb,
Mm.
the book that was about Akira. So I was quite surprised by all 3 of them for various reasons. But yeah, I thought I am quite curious to look more into the stories of the handmaidens after um, the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, once I finish the first Thrawn trilogy, I think the Queen, because you guys have been recommending Queen of Shadows a lot, so that'll probably be next on the block for me. Because I think I only have like 2 hours left
Okay.
in. It's either 2 or 3 hours left in Thrawn Alliances, and then I need to get in. Oh, what's the third book? Oh, I'm blanking on the name now because it's Thrawn Alliances, and something else.
Is it Allegiance?
It
Or maybe
might
that's
be.
another trilogy.
But yeah, I definitely I want to finish the first Thrawn trilogy and then take a break from Thrawn to listen to something else.
Yeah.
But I
'Cause
have
it's a lot of stuff.
I have the Ascendancy trilogy.
Okay.
Thrawn Treason is what it is. Yeah, I have 3.5 hours left in Thrawn Alliances, and then I'm going to start Treason.
Yeah, it's amazing when they measure books in terms of the hours of the narration or hours of the story.
Yeah.
And are the Thrawn books like many of the other Star Wars books where they have, sound effects and a little bit of music in the background and
Oh yeah, yeah. I could be completely wrong, but I don't think it's just one like narrator. I think they have multiple voice actors for the characters because it's certainly like at least for Thrawn. So because the pitch in the cadence they use for Thrawn, it sounds much different than the standard speaking voice of the narrator.
hmm,
Like so much different to a point where it's like that could be a whole different person.
wow. Because I know for like the Dr. Aphra book, that one's more like an audio drama. I mean,
Mhm.
each character has their own actor or actress. But
Right.
with Rise of the Red Blade and Kira, it was a single person just changing their voice to
Mhm.
do the other characters.
Yeah, that's how the Ahsoka book was too, where Ashley Eckstein would just change her inflection based on the character she's portraying.
Yeah. Speaking of going back to the Phantom Menace, and you mentioned what it would be like hearing the story about Kister if he was uh, uh, a racer. I wonder about the other pod racers. Like, there's that whole lineup. It would be fun to find out how they got to the Boonta Eve, classic. What made them so good as pod racers, and then maybe what happened after that. Because I thought they had like disbanded, pod racing or whatever because it was so dangerous.
Hmm. Yeah, I never really thought about any of the pod racers because they all just kind of died in the Boonta, even the Phantom Menace.
Well, there was the guy who didn't even get off the starting line.
True.
His stuff went scattering. Sebulba didn't die.
Hmm.
Just crashed. But it does make me wonder, like, how in the world did Sebulba become, such a menace of a racer? How did he get to have that reputation of being the person who, sabotaged other racers and stuff?
Savol probably had the same mentality as Ricky Bobby. If you ain't first, you're last. Got to win at any cost.
So do you think he had some special training where someone blindfolded him while he drove around his first pod racer?
I look. He might have had a loaf cat in the back. So
What about the second movie in the lineup, Attack of the Clones? What are some loose threads that you think would be curious to unravel or piece together differently?
how do they make Jawa juice? What is the ingredients list in Jawa juice? That
In
always
in the
that was
Star
always
Wars world or in our world?
in the Star Wars world. Because I thought about that because now they've got Galaxy's Edge and all that. Like you hear about it more, but like it was always one of those lines where it's like, "You want a cup of Jawa juice?" What? So
Yeah, I wonder if it's like so Jawas were scavengers. Um, so is it just a funny name that they gave to some sort of a mixed drink of some sort? A wacky concoction of maybe, orange Fanta and Dr. Pepper.
ugh. Uh,
No, I'm not saying it's tasty. I'm just saying I wonder if it's something like that.
sorry, that thinking of that combination just disgusting. Ugh. Yeah, it probably is just some sort of mixed drink, but I also like to think that it's just freshly squeezed Jawa.
Like baby oil? Do they get the oil from actual babies? They get the
Yeah,
juice from actual Jawas?
yeah, why not? So,
Then you got to worry about all the hair because according to Peli Motto, they're really fuzzy.
yeah, you gotta get a fine mesh strainer when you're making it.
And speaking of
Yeah.
Jawa juice and Dexter's Diner, there's got to be stories somewhere of where Dex and Obi-Wan had interactions before that. He's old buddy, so that means there's got to be more to it that we haven't heard about or read about yet.
Right, and how did Dex become so knowledgeable about Kamino and poison darts?
Yeah, because I thought Dex had military background or something. I don't know because I thought he had a couple tattoos on his arms.
Yeah, it's because he was a chef. All good chefs have tattoos.
I don't know. Does Gordon Ramsay have tattoos?
He probably does. He looks like the kind of person to get a shoulder tattoo.
Like on the bell of his shoulder,
Yeah,
or like the sparrows on like his collarbones,
nah, the bell of your shoulder.
like a
Yeah.
chef's hat and a biker ribbon underneath.
Oh yeah. No, he's got a little whisk wrapped in the traditional wrapping. Now I'm curious. Does Gordon Ramsay have a tattoo?
Or does he have a butterfly on his ankle because he got dared to get a tattoo in his college years?
Googling Gordon Ramsay tattoo is not what I expected to bring up. But I can tell you, a lot of people have Gordon Ramsay tattoos.
That probably does not surprise me.
He does not. He does not like having tattoos. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I guess my point is just invalid.
Well, how about most good chefs?
Most good chefs.
Yeah, most good chefs.
Yeah. Attack of the Clones though, like I feel like there's a lot of stuff like that has the Clone Wars really wrapped up when it comes to loose threads. It's one of those things where it's like we have the immediate expanded media from that. That there's not a whole lot I can think of that doesn't have a good connection
Well, I
other
mean,
than
there are,
Jawa
there
juice.
were there were hundreds, if not thousands, of Jedi at the time. So
Yeah.
there's room there. I mean, heck, we just recently got a little bit of Keller and Beck, and before that, we had never really actually before Jedi Temple Challenge, we hadn't heard of Keller and Beck. So even
Right.
in the movies, so is there more to that, or even that practice that the Jedi's had of traveling the galaxy, seeking out force sensitive children. How did that become a thing? How did
Hmm.
that become a decision that they made?
That's a good point. Yeah. How
And
how how do they go about stealing kids?
yeah, or being gifted them, because in some cases, the families willingly said, "Hey, our kid has witchcraft in them. Here, take them to your temple on that city planet."
They're your problem now.
Yeah, I'm tired of them moving around the cookie bowl or cookie jar. Every time I put it up there, they get it down. I can't keep snacks out of their hands.
Yeah, I don't know. Like other than the Jedi, like there's not a whole lot I can think of for Attack of the Clones.
Well, even how about just more? I mean, there was going to be that whole underworld series, that whole TV show Underworld, that would have taken place on the lower levels of Coruscant, or the video game 1313.
Hmm.
We got a smidgen of that in the Outlander Club and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Whatever happened to Sleaze Bagano? Or
yeah, that I do
yeah.
I do ask that question quite often. and that's actually one of those silly costumes I'd love to figure out how to make. For me, the hardest part would be either the hair, because I have next to none now, or even those fleshy ear stalks or eye stalks or whatever he had on his head.
Hmm.
When he was there, trying to sell death sticks.
That's another one where I really think he went home and changed his life.
Thanks to Obi-Wan.
Yeah. So I wonder, because the Jedi mind trick, it only lasts so long, but like part of me wants to think like that lasted forever. He constantly went home to rethink his life, and it was just in perpetual motion.
So each day he gets up, looks in the mirror. Okay, time to rethink my life.
Yep.
Or maybe before he goes to bed, he reflects on his day. Tomorrow when I get up, I'm gonna, have a fresh start and rethink my life.
Then after I'm done with my day, I'm gonna go home and rethink my life.
Well, it also makes me wonder about what the other illegal drug trades are, because you
Mhm.
got death sticks. We've seen spice with the pikes. We saw the was it a meth lab that we saw in Obi-Wan Kenobi, or was that a spice lab or something?
Yeah, and whatever Jabba was puffing on in his hookah.
Yeah, because I don't know if that's Tatooine tobacco. I don't know if that's a thing.
Right. Yeah, it
You
probably
know,
is.
you know, diced
I-
mushrooms that grow on moisture evaporators.
yeah. Yeah, he definitely. I there had to be something in there. His eyes were only
Yeah,
so open.
yeah. Whichever way they close, because I can't remember if they were vertical slits or horizontal closing.
That's a good question. Which way did his eyes close?
Yeah, I thought they were sideways. I thought they closed, left to right.
Yeah, because I always thought they were up and down.
I know he had eyelids that went up and down, but I also thought they were back side to side. But I could be way wrong with that. I could be mixing up my movies, or was that the bug from Men in Black?
It might have been the bug from Men in Black. Why is he not blinking?
Well, the Ewoks
Yeah.
didn't blink for the longest time until
I-
they adjusted that with CGI.
right. It looks like honestly, it looks like just his pupils dilate, but his blinking motion is just up and down.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the drug trade in Star Wars, it's something you don't really think about too often, but it obviously exists.
Yeah, because even surprisingly enough, it showed up in the Clone Wars cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
With the pikes and stuff like that, and showed up in Solo a little bit. I mean, just and it's there. They don't talk about it. They don't make it a thing. It's just part of the background, part of the universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about Revenge of the Sith? What do you have? Because I've got a couple for that one.
Huh. Well, I do wonder about some of the just the general citizens that go to the opera.
Mm-hmm.
Dressed
I
in
think
their fancy clothes, going to the for a night out on the town or whatever. Where were they coming from? What do they do?
yeah. I still want to know more about George Lucas's cameo.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
Senator Papanoidea, I think
yeah.
and he was in the Clone Wars too. I mean, one of his kids was kidnapped in the Clone Wars.
When was that? Why
I
do I not
thought one of
remember
his
that?
kids was kid. I'm pretty sure. I thought it was kidnapped by Greedo.
It has been so long since I've seen the Clone Wars. Um, I you could be totally lying to me, and I would be like, yeah, that sounds right. Not Indiana Jones. Sorry, I'm googling a lot of stuff tonight. Noida Clone Wars. Yeah, he was. Look at that. And he even looks like George too.
Yeah.
Wow. Season 3, episode 4. It's good to know. I'll have to go back and rewatch that.
See, and that's something I wish they would, at least with the toys, that they did a little bit more of. I remember um, during the prequel time, they would do some of those sets where it was, four characters or so, and I think there was one that had George Lucas, Amanda Lucas, Jet Lucas, and I don't remember his other daughter's name, but I thought it was a set of four figures, and it was them in as their cameos.
Hmm.
You know,
Well,
but if they did a set like that nowadays, it'd be $100.
if not more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if you add some of the little extra bits, whether it's a Tuca cat or a glass,
Mhm.
a 3D printed glass or whatever.
Yeah, but the problem is, a lot of that stuff now wouldn't sell. Like, back in the prequel era when, kids actually still played with toys, you could get rid of it. You could clearance that out. But stuff like that, I mean, look at, like, they can't even sell Lando right now. Like,
Yeah, he's been out there for a while. Either version of Lando,
yeah,
whether it's the Return of the Jedi version where he's in his disguise, or just plain old Lando.
yeah. Well, also, General Lando.
Is
That's
that the
the,
one with the blue cape?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, because you've got the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back ones that you still see from time to time, where it's the Kenner style card instead of like the Black Series box,
okay.
and then disguise Lando and General Lando. I don't know why Lando's the one that always gets stuck on the shelves.
Or he's the one that stays on the shelf for a while. I remember it was Jin Urso. Jin Urso was on the shelves for a really, really long time.
So is
And,
Cassian.
and yeah, so was Cassian. And that was pre Andor popularity kind of stuff.
See, I understand Cassian a little bit because it was his Edu garb. So he had the big, thick
The
winter
parka.
coat. Yeah. So and it wasn't like the actual like how you saw him in 90% of the movie. So that one I kind of understand, but like Jin wore the same outfit the entire movie,
Except when she
except
put
for on
on the
Enu.
except when she had the
Yeah.
disguise.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, why? What was the thought process on that?
And I don't know if it's my imagination, but it seems like there are just more Landos than there are of the other figures. So recently they put out some Black Series Bad Batch figures. So there was a I don't I I have Wrecker, Echo, Tech. I think there was a Hunter. I don't know if there was a new Crosshair or not. Um, and then an Arc Commander or Arc Commando.
Mm.
Um, but it didn't seem like there was many of those. But I go to my local store, and there's probably a dozen Landos.
I think Lando was one of those because they put six in a case,
Okay.
and if there's only four in a wave, you double up one. I think Lando is your double, which doesn't make any sense to me. Like I get it. Like I like Lando. I actually like those figures. But, if you're going for the ones that are more popular, like you'd go with the ones that are current, like the Bad Batch ones.
Yeah. Well, and there's
But
there's at least with uh, the the stormtroopers or some of the rebels, it makes sense to get multiples of the same one because you want to fill out a scene or whatever. You don't need four Landos in disguise.
mhm,
You know, I would buy,
yeah.
not that I would I normally do this, but not that I would buy four of the same stormtrooper. But I can understand why people would want to.
What, you don't have $90? No, more than that, $120 to drop on Black Series figures at a time?
Yeah.
That's the other problem. Hasbro's pricing themselves out of the market. So sooner or later, there's going to be a number that people are like, nah, I'm not paying that.
See, that I don't know. I really don't know. And the reason I say that is um, like the bigger ones, like a Saw Gerrera, that was like $35 or so. People buying them in the store, and they're still turning around and selling them on eBay or whatever third party seller for more than that. So and people are buying them there. So if they're willing to buy it through that third party, I don't even know what that upper limit would be. Is $50 too much? For me, $20 is too much for Black Series figures.
Yeah, I remember when the Black Series figures were $19, and I was like, that's a solid price because the 3 3/4 were $10. The Black Series was 20. So you know what? That's a perfect pricing scale. But now it's 15 and 30. I'm like, I don't know. Like these figures have not gotten that much better with the photorealism that I'm like, you know what? I can justify paying $30 for a figure.
Well, and the other part to that, they're I think they're putting more attention into the packaging.
Mm,
Like the, card back plastic bubble. Sometimes the pictures are nice, but by the time you take the bubble off, the picture is often ruined or whatever. But that new packaging where it's more of a box, and the side has holographic print on it, and the at least the ones where you don't even have the clear plastic opening, it's just a picture of the character on the front.
mm,
That also has that fancy ink on it or whatever. So I'm wondering how much of the price of this figure is going towards the package and not the actual figure itself.
right.
Or even the 3 3/4 inch ones. So what they do too is, like, I got the Sabine Wren one. The one with the loth cat and a couple little accessories or whatever.
That's
And
$30.
yeah,
That's
I I
$30.
know I'm stupid. I think I used my $5 monthly coupon or whatever
Oh,
from
God,
GameStop to get it.
having flashbacks.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, I we got in at my store. We got in the new vintage collection N1 Starfighter, and it's
A hundred and some.
$130. And I, granted, like that almost feels justified because, like, yeah, that's a really highly detailed ship. And considering, like, I paid 200 for Boba Fett Starship a couple years ago, I'm like, yeah, no, that's reasonable. But yeah, I don't know. I Some of these things, like the Scout Trooper and Grogu with the speeder bike, it's $48.
Yeah, it's
I don't
yeah,
know if it's that much.
it's getting wacky. I mean, so let's go to the Naboo Starfighter. That's as much as some of the Black Series helmets.
Yeah, and honestly, at this point, I would rather pay for the Naboo Starfighter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, because honestly, like anymore, because I finally saw one of the Clone Trooper helmets in person. They don't look that good in my opinion. Granted, I overanalyze the clones and especially the helmets, so that could just be me being, super picky about it. But like, I don't like how they look. I really don't like Rex's helmet that they unveiled a couple weeks ago. But yeah, the Black Series helmets they seem like they're declining in quality.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to get them out as fast as possible.
Yeah, now the lightsabers, on the other hand, they're nice, but the fact that I paid $100 for my Return of the Jedi Luke's lightsaber back in 2017. Now that they're over $300.
Oof. No thanks.
Yeah, we're adults whinging about children's toys.
And they continue to pump them out. It's it's
Yeah.
it's incredible to me. I mean, they're not putting them out like Phantom Menace or Clone Wars era.
Hmm.
Um, and so if I could go back in time with a knapsack and could fill it up and bring stuff back from then, I would absolutely 1,000,000% go back and get a boatload of Star Wars toys and bring them back to this time,
Oh
because
yeah.
they were literally a couple bucks a piece, and it didn't matter whether it was Hammerhead or the double telescoping Luke Skywalker, because at the time they were all equally considered
Yeah,
landfill material.
it was a Luke Skywalker figure. But now the eyes of collectors, we look at that and it's like, wow, God, what I wouldn't do to have that. And kids in 1978, they were like, awesome, I've got a Luke Skywalker figure.
Yep. Well, even I was watching a couple YouTube videos last week, and it was some guys showing their toys from when they were kids, and they turned it up, and what they had done as kids is they used nail polish or marker and painted on the feet, so that when they went to their friend's house, Johnny had blue on the bottom of his feet and Billy had green on the bottom of his feet, so they could tell them apart in this pile of stuff. And now,
I am kicking myself. There are a couple toys that I destroyed with a Sharpie. Yeah, I don't know. I like a lot of the merchandise now anymore. It's like it's getting to the point where it's like, God, it's so expensive that like the Black Series helmets. I'd rather 3D print one, and I understand that's not an achievable goal for 99% of people. But for me, like I look at those Black Series helmets and it'd say, I could pay $130 for that, or I could pay like $50 and have that like handmade touch to it and have it done to how I would expect it to look.
well, and it makes you wonder, like, what is the purpose of the purchase? Are you getting it to just put it on on a display shelf? If that's the case, then the 3D printed $50 one that's hand done is just as displayable as a Black Series one.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, I don't. The only Black Series helmet that I do not look at and say, I probably should have just made that, is the Mandalorian helmet. Because the detail on the interior of that helmet alone justifies the purchase for me. But like the rest of them, though, I look at them like I could make it for a fraction of the cost. I can't justify that.
Yeah.
But like the figures, though, like I don't have that alternative, and I can't. Like I'll buy a couple of them here and there, like the ones that I really like. Like I bought the some of the newer ones from the new line. I think I sent you a picture of the two that I got.
the Ewoks.
No, not the Ewoks. The blue packaging,
Oh, okay,
dancing around something.
okay.
But yeah, so I got two of those. Granted, after I had sworn up and down that I was done collecting the Black Series figures, but yeah, it's because like the toy collecting, like that's something like my dad and I do, and it really sucks having to be like, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff out there. I would have loved to have Boba Fett's throne room, but for
Yeah, and that place that was
$250.
yeah, that was then. I mean, I don't even know what it is now, and I don't think I don't remember ever seeing that place set in the wild. I never saw it in a store.
It was because it was a Hasbro Pulse exclusive.
Ah, okay.
It's
That's why.
it's because it's one of those things where it's like they knew nobody would pay $250 for it, except for the absolute must-have everything collectors.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, and that's just another great point, like the Hasbro Pulse stuff and the HasLab stuff. I mean, I get it. Like, yeah, these are like super high-end collectible, things. I can't justify paying, $250 for a Black Series Rancor, that comes with a cardboard backdrop and, plastic rocks and bones.
And it was one figure, right? Was it?
Yeah.
Was it a Gamorrean guard or something like that?
Yeah, at first, until there was enough public backlash, you didn't even get the Rancor Keeper. The thing that makes the most sense. Or no, it wasn't a Gamorrean guard, it was Luke.
Oh, okay.
The same Luke Skywalker that we've gotten at least 2 of every 5 years. I was having this conversation with my boss because they're doing the Return of the Jedi line still,
Okay.
and we got in the Return of the Jedi Luke, and I told him I'm like, oh my god, how many Return of the Jedi Lukes do we have right now? Because you have the You got the Black Series one from Return of the Jedi, the actual Return of the Jedi one. You have the Black Series Mandalorian one. Then you have the Mandalorian one with him and Grogu in the backpack. And you've got the retro collection. You've got the vintage collection. You've got the vintage collection of him from the Mandalorian. That is 6 different of the exact same Luke, with maybe a minor variation here or there.
Yeah, and if you can, it would. I think it would take a little bit of extra effort to show the variation of it.
Right.
Well,
So
even how many Black Series Din Djarin's do we need?
yeah, because they just unveiled another one from the Mines of Mandalore.
Oh, and how is that different than any of the other ones?
I have no idea. Because I saw it and I was looking at it, I'm like, this isn't different from the Book of Boba Fett one that we got from the Ring World, unless the one from the Ring World had the slash on his leg from the Darksaber.
Gotcha. Which I
But
doubt they would, because that'd be kind of a little too gory for a Star Wars figure.
right, yeah, because like I can't even say, oh, it comes with the Darksaber. Like that's the big thing.
So what I would love to see happen with Din specifically is if they made a Din package that had 3 heads with it. You could put a Latif head on, you could put a Brendan Wayne head on, you could put a Pedro Pascal head on.
I don't need another Pedro Pascal Mandalorian. Nope. Did you see the one they released after the end of season 1?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, nightmare fuel. It looks nothing like it looks like Pedro Pascal if he melted.
Nice. But I would
Yeah.
just want those 3 in one package, because it's those 3 people that play him.
Yeah.
Kind of like they did with Paz Vizsla, where they put a Jon Favreau head on him.
Yeah.
Even though you never see him as Jon Favreau, you just hear his voice. But they still,
Yeah,
I
which
think it was like that might have been a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive or something like that.
so it was an SDCC exclusive for the first wave, but then they released it for Hasbro Pulse because I had a pre-order for it, but I ended up just canceling it
Hmm.
because I've got the Dave Filoni Trapper Wolf somewhere around here. Um, yeah, I wanted to have both of them, but that was another one. It's like I'm not paying $50 for a Jon Favreau figure.
Yeah.
I paid the luxury tax on the Trapper Wolf one because it was only $35, but it came, it had the fancy packaging and whatnot. But I was like, nah, $50 is where I draw the line for for that because I understood like it's a Dave Filoni figure. You're buying it because it's Dave Filoni.
Yes. And heck, they could very easily do a trio of pilots and have the 3 directors, because they had Deborah Chow and Rick Famuyiwa, because they were in that one episode of the Mandalorian together.
Yeah, and what's his name? The stunt double for Luke.
Oh, I can't remember. Okay, I know who you're talking about.
Because you could do him and Carson Teva too. To make it a 5-pack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that turned into a weird tangent.
Well, I mean, it is kind of fun to think about how these movies, these shows that we see on television become items on our shelves. And I know as a kid, and I think they are sort of tied together, because I know as a kid, I would often make up these stories, these little scenes with the characters that didn't happen in the movie, but they very easily could have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what we were talking about earlier with those different threads that we were introduced to, like for instance, Dex from Dexter's Diner. What happened before that? What happened after that? I think we stepped into. Did we get into Revenge of the Sith yet, or
A little
was that
bit,
a
because we
little
were
bit?
talking about Papanoida.
Yeah, that's right. And the opera guests.
Right. Now that makes me wonder: does Dex have an action figure?
He does.
He does.
Yeah,
I'm assuming it's probably just the Attack of the Clones line.
I think so. I know I know that's 3 3/4 inch. I know that I have that one, because that was He had like a, I don't know, if it's not a machete, but a chef's knife, not the like a cleaver. I think he had a
Yeah,
like a cleaver knife and an
yeah,
apron and that
a
kind of
butcher's
stuff.
knife.
Yeah, butcher's knife. Yep. Because they also had the waitress droid as a figure.
I knew that.
They didn't have. I don't think they had the human waitress, but the droid they had,
Yeah.
because it came on this clear plastic stand, because that droid was on like a unicycle wheel, and
Hmm.
it wouldn't stand up by itself, so he had this special stand for it. But then it makes you wonder, like, what about all those patrons, all those people that were sitting in his diner? There was a Doug in there, I thought, and some other, other weird costumed characters.
Hmm.
Although I don't know if Hasbro or Kenner would do all of those characters, whether it's in the diner or even in the Outlander Club, because I think one of the people in the Outlander Club was a woman wearing mesh pants and a thong. So I don't
Yeah.
think Kenner would do that. It's not like McFarlane toys or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that might be where they draw the line.
Yeah, because even with Ula, um, they they were more family friendly.
Hmm.
I think the riskiest they ever went was Hut Slayer Leia
Yeah.
with her metal bikini.
Yeah, but I mean that one's that is a staple. I feel like that's an iconic thing. So you almost had to make that.
Yeah, and at the time, I mean, it made perfect sense. But
Yeah.
then recently, there was the one dad who got all twisted, saying he wanted to get Star Wars toys for his kid, and he went into the store and it was Leia in a bikini.
Yeah.
You know, made a big stink out of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care if it's in the movie. Make a toy.
Yeah,
That's I'm not. It look if it made it past Disney's seal of approval at this current point in time, if it makes it past Disney's seal of approval, you can make a toy of it because Disney, they're overly careful about not stepping on the wrong toes and
yeah,
making things that are appropriate.
yeah.
But yeah, well, we got 13 minutes left. Do you want to go threads or you want to keep on toys? Because I can go about toys all night.
Yeah, I mean, what are some with that in mind? We'll take this idea of threads into toys. Whether it's the the original trilogy or the sequel trilogy. What are some toys that you think would would make for um, great additions to your collection that don't already exist?
Look, I really wish they would bring back, like, I think we talked about it briefly, like the set pieces. Like, I would love to have, like, for the sequel trilogy, I'd love to have the Kylo Ren and Rey showdown from The Force Awakens, or even like the throne room. I think that would be a good set, or even the Death Star 2 wreckage. I think just having that one like spire piece, I've got it next to me, but slightly adjacent off camera. But yeah, I think that set piece would be cool. Um, something like if we could do like the opera house, which that might already exist.
I don't think the Opera House exists. Not that I know that they had a I thought they had a Geonosis battle arena, but I don't remember there being an Opera House one. Um, well, it could be fun to have a Canto Bite set. I mean, you've got little gambling tables. We don't necessarily need to have the deleted scenes where there's the massage parlor down below or anything like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think, to your point about the set pieces, I also think it would be fun if they had done, a handful of creatures from the sequel trilogy, whether it's a fathier or if they had done was it Phoenix Fox? What was the one that had all the crystals on it from
Yeah,
the from Crate?
yeah.
So there's the Fathier, Fennec Fox. There was one. What was the horse-looking thing that Zana rode in Rise of Skywalker that they ended up putting up on the ship and then taking it with them to Exegol?
Oh, I don't remember what were they called. I know what you're talking about.
or even if they did a handful more from, I don't, I know they did some Star Wars Rebels toys, but they definitely didn't do things like the Loth Wolves.
Hmm.
That would be even if they did the two of them, because there were two that were larger than the other ones.
Yeah. They were called Orbaks.
Orbaks, okay. The horses,
Yeah.
the
Yep.
horse looking things.
Yeah. And something a little bit bigger, and I understand like this would definitely be like a Hasbro or HasLab project, but I would consider fronting the money, but a Star Destroyer.
Hmm.
Because we haven't gotten an actual like large scale Star Destroyer, at least not to my knowledge.
Or even like
Like,
if you did like a, to your point with the play sets, could you have the bridge where it's a much more involved than the, let's say, the Death Star play set from the late 70s, early 80s.
yeah. Well, I mean, they did do a they did the Super Star Destroyer playset in the '80s, but it looked, I mean, other than the fact that it was a triangle, wasn't very reminiscent of the Death or the Star Destroyer. Yeah.
Also, like some more of the creatures from Maz Kanata's castle,
Oh yeah, for
because there were
sure.
just so many there. Like I don't think I saw the, who was the really really big guy that was in the castle, and he had um, the lady with the black and white striped
Oh,
costume.
the First Order spies.
Yeah, the First Order spies.
Yeah.
Like that ginormous, ginormous character that was there. I don't think I ever saw a toy for him.
Mm-mm. No, there's a lot. There's a lot from the sequel trilogy they just skipped over because of Constable Tuvio.
Yeah, I will say that that one Constable Zuvio kind of made me upset, because that was, I think that might have been in the one of the first waves of the Black Series figures, I thought.
It was the first wave of the mainstream Black Series figures because the Black Series figures, you had the blue box, you had the blue stripe, you had the orange stripe, and then you had the red boxes. The red boxes are when it was basically like a reset button for the Black Series. Um, but yeah, the because he was, I think, number 4 in that line, behind Rey, Kylo Ren, and Finn.
And I was convinced that this is going to be a cool guy. I mean, look at this costume.
Yeah, and we even saw him in the. He was either in a trailer or like a behind the scene teaser before the movie came out, and it looked awesome. Never in the movie. I don't think he was in any of the deleted scenes that we got to see.
No,
So, yeah, I feel like that figure alone ruined all of the potential figures we would have gotten for the sequel trilogy. So they really played it safe on the 7 different Reys, Kylo Ren, Finn.
because
Which, don't get me wrong, like I'm always glad to see those figures, but still, it's like a little variation would be nice.
yeah, and I don't know if they did all. I know that they did, a bunch of them in the 3/4 inch figure, 3 3/4 inch, like the different droids and stuff. Like there's
Mhm.
that blue droid, um, that was on the with the rebels. Like I don't know, it was PZ or something like that. But they could have done a handful more.
Yeah.
But
The other thing that I really wish that, because like I hate to say it, and I know there is at least someone who's not going to be thrilled with me saying this, and it might even be you. Um, I'm tired of the original trilogy. I don't need a New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi figures all the time. Like it's pretty loud and clear that the prequels are not the Antichrist anymore. It's not the most hated thing on the planet. Like, give me more prequel era toys.
or even the animated ones.
Hmm.
Give me some nicely constructed animated ones, because I know with Rebels they did a whole bunch of the really simple 5 point of articulation figures.
Yeah.
But, or even Resistance, as underappreciated as Resistance is. I mean, they could have had every one of those pilots and their ship,
Yeah.
or the all the different pirates. The pirates were incredibly creative and unique. They could have done those and stuff like that. So there's lots of room for more stories. Those loose threads that we were talking about that we started off our conversation with, and there's much more room there for toys. And to your point earlier, I don't want them to be so darn expensive, especially considering how many of them that they could possibly put out there for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I just it's a fleeting dream, but I want the 2-pack Jedi Interceptor. I'll pay $300 for that. If you give me like hyper detailed Jedi Interceptors from Revenge of the Sith, I'll pay $300 for a 2-pack. Get Anakin and Obi-Wan's on a nice carded Kenner style figure.
Yeah, and I thought I saw a picture somewhere that they were doing a Black Series Millennium Falcon.
Oh, I don't even want to think about what the price tag on that would be.
I wonder what a Black Series, Jedi ship would cost, or the size of it.
I don't even need a Black Series one. I just want a I want a new 3 3/4 one, because I have a lot of, because the Jedi Interceptor is my favorite ship. Um, but I have a handful of them, but they're like, so the only thing that has like a decent amount of detail is the cockpit. Like the outsides of the ships are very, like, the paint is flat. There's no weathering on it, and they're pretty basic. But I would love to see one that's, with today's modern technology and toy making. I'd like to see one that's more detailed.
And did they ever make one with a hyperspace ring?
They did. You'd be hard pressed to find it, because I think I think that was like a circa 2007 2008 release, when they had that really weird 30th anniversary packaging.
Okay.
Same time we got what do you call it? Oh, geez, I can picture it in my mind too. There was some character that never had a Jedi Interceptor. Oh, it was Vader's Jedi Interceptor. It was the all black one.
Oh, I actually have that one.
Do you really?
Yeah. So it was one of the first conventions that I ever went to with Heather and the boys. It was in Philadelphia, and I can't remember if it was the 501st or the Mando Mercs or something. They were doing raffles, and I won 2 days in a row. And one of the things I won was that Darth Vader's interceptor. Or no, it was Anakin's. I'm pretty sure. I think it was Anakin's,
Hmm.
but it was the black and gray one.
Yeah.
And then the next day, it was like each day was like a bundle of stuff. The second day was a handful of things related to Boba Fett, including a poster that had been signed by some of the people. It had, like, I think it might have been 501st, because now that I'm thinking about it, I think they signed like BH number something something. Because I think Boba Fett in the 501st it's a bounty hunter number.
Yeah.
So I think it was the 501st. Now that I'm talking out loud about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I lucked out 2 days in a row. I think it was Saturday and Sunday where I won the raffle.
That's super cool.
I've had really good luck with raffles. I won a Death Star transformer. So it transformed from the Death Star into Darth Vader. It's a very weird shape and everything. I've never opened it. It's still in the box, but I won that at a raffle too.
Yeah, those those Transformers are weird, because I still have my General Grievous wheel bike transformer. That was a weird one.
I can't even imagine how that would work. Like,
It looks like you just put General Grievous's head on a wheel bike that you fold in half,
oh, okay.
and just gave it arms and legs. Which, granted, I mean, the wheel bike already had, like, it kind of looked like appendages, so it made sense, like, with the legs, but it looks nothing like General Grievous.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I'm impressed that we were able to stretch this out for a full hour, and if
Yeah,
if we had Mike on the line, he probably would have helped us stretch it out even longer.
right.
But are you okay with packing it in for another flight of the Falcon?
Absolutely. It was a
All
great
right.
show. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm equally as shocked we made an hour out of that one.
Well, I'll work to find Mike's trusty outro and send everyone out with a wonderful Wednesday and a may the force be with you always.
I used to put my faith in starships, but then my Falcon's hyperdrive just slipped. I used to worry about the future, but then I threw my caution to the wind. I had no reason to be carefree. No, no, no. Until I took a trip to the treetop side of town. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, I heard that wicked rhythm. Hey, I had no choice but to get down, down.